prerequisites. Now, I do have a Mailgun account. Now, I'm going to create an account here. Sorry, a file. And it's going to be .env. And that's where you put all your secrets in an envelope. All right. And then I'm going to copy and paste that. And env.sample. Yeah, there we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, fill out the sample. So it's going to give me all the things that it's expecting. And then I'll copy and paste that over to this one and actually put in the real details. And when I put in the real details, I'm going to pause the video. So if I may say so, we're at the 30-minute mark and we're making great progress. I mean, do we have any code written yet? We do. Look at this. This is great. Yeah. So there's the web. Here's the infrastructure. I mean, we could go look at that JSON file and find out what it means by infrastructure. So the core, we've got our enumerations. Defect status, user roles. Okay. This looks great. Love it. Now I'm going to hit Control tilde, bring all this up. I don't need to look at this anymore. Maximize that. And there is a tool called Taskmaster, and I'm going to show you what it is. It's called taskmaster.dev. And let me see if I can make this full screen. So this is the website, Taskmaster, and it is open source. You got like 25,000 people who have favorited or started. And this will keep track of all the progress. So that's what I like to use. I had been using SpecKit, which is backed by GitHub and Microsoft, but I sort of like this Taskmaster better. Okay, so what I'm going to tell it is install Taskmaster for me. And I think it's going to know, I've told it before like that, and it knows what to do. But you know what? I'm just going to put the link in there just in case, and we'll see how it does. Now, while it's working on that, this is how I work. I just like talk to these, like each of these tabs are like employees that you manage. Okay. So a lot of times it scrolls up to the top. I don't know why, but I just select something. I hit Control End. Now look at this. Okay. So implementation has been paused. Document everything properly. Okay. So a git ignore. So Git is a repository. It's a way of keeping track of all your source code. And I think most people have heard of it. Version history. Versioning, tracking, that type of stuff. So that's what Git is for. And sort of what GitHub is based on. Okay. And if you want anything ignored by Git, you create a git ignore. Okay. So I like the fact that it created this, at least at first. So these are things that you don't want to actually have included in your application, in the repo, in the source code. Otherwise, it will bloat to be really big. Now, from here on out, attention AI. Do not modify this file without explicit. That's what I want. Yeah, permission. From the, I call myself a dev user. That's what I feel like. It's like a dev, but also like a user. All right. There we go. Hit Control S. Very good. And typically in a git ignore, you would want your envelope file that's got all your secrets to be not checked into source control. So we could do a .env file. And you have different files for development, production. Yeah. And you'd have to sort of keep track of those some of the way other than git. Okay, I'm going to exit out of that. All right, we got a lot of cool stuff. Now, within VS Code, we do have this little side thing going on here. Sidebar. Now, if you hover over it, see, that's for extensions. This is like a file explorer. This third one is source control. And it integrates really well with Git and remote Gits like GitHub. So here's a graph. I don't really care about the graph very much. I just want to go in here. And if I see a lot of file changes, I'm like, hey, I want to get those committed and then pushed to a remote repository. So I'm going to hit that button. That's a little magic button you saw there. And it's going to come up with a git commit message. All right. So every git commit should have a helpful message of what happened. Okay. Now, if I hit publish branch, it's going to be like, whoa, we need to talk to GitHub. Yeah. I don't like to use GitHub for stuff unless it's open source. And then, obviously I will, but in this case, I have got my own servers, my own remote repositories. I have 2 remote repositories, so that, I have a backup and everything. And I'm going to pause here and make sure that they're installed. I don't know. I sort of want to demonstrate how easy it is once you set things up. So for example, I'm going to bring up Claude Code and I'm going to tell it. What comes up. I have a command called, I name all my commands with a Z. So I did a / and a Z. Look at that. Remotes is the very top one. It says set up git t remotes. So I use git t and I run them on my servers. And if I run this, it doesn't reveal any personal information. It just goes and does it. It's sort of cool. Most people won't be running their own server like I am. I would highly recommend it. I pay. Now, you can get a decent server that will probably last you for a while for about $5 a month. That's with now I have a discount code that will give you an additional 20%. That will give you a KVM2. So that give you 2 virtual processors. I think it gives you 4 gigabytes of memory, and that's a decent size amount of memory for a Linux server, which is what this will be pushed to anyway. Gets you a decent amount of space and everything, but they have like KVM. I think they have KVM2, KVM4, and a KVM8, and the 8 is the biggest it can go with. I started off with a 2. And loved it so much, and I wanted to install all kinds of open source software. So I tried out the 8, and I love the KVM 8. It's got 32 gigs of memory and 400 gigabytes of space. My wife's calling. Okay. The pizza is almost here. So I'll be finishing this up in the next few minutes here. Okay, look at this. Boom. It has been So the repo has been connected and everything's put. So I got backups going now. Okay. And I like to do a little usage just to see how I'm doing on everything. And I'm doing just fine. And the 22nd of January, I guess it just reset today. So I've got a full week here. Looks good. I'm going to go back here. Now, what was this middle one for? Does anybody remember? Oh, Taskmaster installed. Yeah, that looks good. Now, nothing's in Taskmaster yet. Now, what it does is oh, it hasn't installed it. It's like it. Okay. Usually I just tell it does it. I guess it wants me to do that. Or with that. Okay. In the terminal, you typically have to hit Control-Shift-C and V to copy and paste. There's nothing you can do right here. It's just right click. And then I can right click down here and have it go to initialize Taskmaster. Okay, so it was installed, but it hasn't been initialized. So now I'll essentially tell this if it needs me to tell it to, hey, look at the README, look in the docs, look through all this stuff and create all these tasks and plan out the phases and everything. It's sort of cool. So that's working on that. And it encounters problems all the time and it just works through them. Okay, now I'm going to go to the bottom of this. Okay, so this is the first chat. Let's scroll up a little bit. I'm going to tell this third chat to go get some stuff done. Remember what I was talking about Docker? Set up, you know what? Complete Docker setup. Even for dev. In fact, whenever this app runs, no matter what environment it is in, it will always run in a Docker Compose stack. Everything that this application will need will be inside this Docker Compose stack. Like SQL Server or any other services that we need to run. Now, whenever we build the application and we need to run it, what I want you to do is compile, build, do everything that you need to do. But I want you to push that to a local Docker container. And I want you to always have it running. So when you create this Docker container, it gets updated whenever, we make a change or it's time to run it. Because I want to be able to run this thing and test it and poke at it. Even if VS Code is not up or running, I always want the very latest of the application to be running locally. So go ahead and set up all the Docker stuff. But first, make sure that you plan all this out. You put all the tasks in Taskmaster, and then you make it happen. Because I'd like to see this application as soon as possible. Thank you very much. Darren out. And then it's going to go off and do that. All right. So she's almost here. I'm going to have to hit pause or something here. But I don't know if you guys see how much fun I'm having. This is my fun face, by the way. Oh, wife's here. See you guys in a moment. Well, it got cold here in Florida. Had to put on a extra sweatshirt. Okay, so going back to what we're doing here. So documentation has been created. We have intent. We have PRD. We have our tech stack. README, get, ignore. Very good. We have 133 files. How many did we actually create ourselves? I think I may have created 2 of these. So this is great. Okay. Now, this is what I do commonly here within VS Code. I don't know why my face is so big. There we go. You'll see over here on the left side, there's 27 things going on. Oh, look, it started building all our Docker files. So that's great. I'll just click on the magic button here, generate commit message. And it seems to do a much better job than what I would do. I don't have a lot of patience for commit messages, but I think they are important. And boom, it describes what needed to be described. All right, I'm going to synchronize. So it's going to push it to my 2 Git remote repositories. Very good. All right. Now on this first tab, a lot of times I'll actually rename these tabs. So the first terminal window that we have going on here, so this is the chat where we said, hey, hold up, create all the documentation first. So what I'd like to tell it to do, so you got to keep all these things that we've already done in mind, such as Taskmaster. Okay, so the foundation is partially done. Core features, portals, notifications, and then polish. So I'm going to tell it here, I'm going to say, well, here we go. Use Taskmaster and plan out all 5 phases. If you identify any additional phases, go ahead and add those in there within the sequence. For each phase, we need to have all the tasks defined. Provide as much detail as you can. Make sure to identify priorities, dependencies. For example, if task 2 is actually dependent upon task 5, has to be done first. Identify what can be done in parallel with subagents and get work trees. Because that's how I would like you to do this. I'm going to put you in planning mode so you can do the very best planning, and all of this work that you do should be reflected in Taskmaster. Once we have a complete and comprehensive plan, then and only then will I have you start back to work. Thank you very much. Okay, there we go. So now it's going to work on planning. Now I actually need to put it in planning mode. Okay, that shift tab will get you there. All right. Now I'm going to go to this guy. Look at this. Taskmaster initialized successfully. Step 1. Okay. Step 2, step 3. Would you like me to do a setup editor rules? I actually don't know what that is. What are editor rules? Check for an existing PRD. Yes, we do have an existing PRD in the docs folder. And I have a separate Claude Code instance chat generating all the phases and tasks within Taskmaster now. It should be done in the next few minutes. Number 3, configure AI models. I don't know if I've ever done that with Taskmaster. This is becoming a learning experience for me. All right, click on that. Let's create let's go to one of these. Let's see what this was about. This is one thing I don't like about Claude Code. It's like you come to the bottom to see what's going on, you start to read it, and then it just like scrolls all the way to the top. And okay, so this handled all of the Docker. So I'm going to right click on this, and I'm going to. It doesn't give me very much time to type. I don't know. It just started doing this the other day. Doc. Okay. Sometimes I'll actually create a file and I'll call it .darren.md. And so if there's something that doesn't allow me much time to type, I'll actually type it into like a scratch pad file like this. So I wanted to call that Docker. I'll just call it Docker. It's related to Docker. All right. So now I'm going to hit rename. I'm going to paste. Yes. All right. This guy up here, this guy is doing our planning. All right, let's do that again. I'm going to right click, rename paste. Very good. Now this guy, what was this guy doing? Installing Taskmaster was the last thing that we did. Oh, well, we got Docker going on over here, so maybe I renamed the wrong one. Your project is well structured. That makes me feel good. Product intent, tech stack. Let's go look at that tech stack one more time now that I know it's all done. It's important if you're going to do .NET work that you pick core, because .NET Core is open source and it's now the industry standard for .NET Web. That's true. It looks like with .NET, we're up to version 10 now. I remember back in 2021, it was, of course, version 1 was released in 2021. And then there was a 1.1 for a while. It took a while to get to 2.0, but all right, enough of the good old day talk. SQL Server 2022. Now, you guys find this interesting that this is all going to run within Linux. Now, Linux is Docker mentioned. clean architecture, simplified. Presentation, data access. Okay, so that's what the infrastructure is about. So you might have your classes, your business logic in there. The presentation is going to create all the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Now, this is interesting. Whenever you see the word domain in software development, now you hear the word domain within IT, they're talking about domain names. Like you go to GoDaddy and register a domain. I would not recommend them for anything, by the way. I started using them back in year 2000 and had been using them most of the time, and now I only use them for domain registration. But in this case, a domain is a boundary. Let me try to do a boundary of your application. Okay, so it says domain entities. So we have clients. That would be an entity within our domain. So it's, you're talking about what your application needs to be able to deal with. Anything outside that domain would not concern the project. And we got interfaces. When you say entities, we're usually talking about a database table, at least with the Power Apps development that we've talked about on the channel quite a bit. But within .NET code, what you'll find, let's go into the core here, entities. Okay, well, there's a base entity, and then that can be inherited. Well, let's go over to the infrastructure. Now, I don't think all the files have been created yet. But you see how fast this software development is going? Like, what I'll be able to do in this one session, it might have taken me a few days, or it might take a typical .NET developer a few days. I'm not going to speak on if I'm a fast .NET developer or not. For all I'm concerned, I'm a horrible .NET developer. Who knows? I do have quite a bit of years experience with it, but man, Microsoft just keeps on adding on more and more features to it. But now with AI, I feel like I don't even have to know it, but I can open up C# code and understand what's going on, which is nice. So I've got that going for me. All right, let's go in here. Components, account. It's got quite a bit created. I'm a little impressed, to be honest. All right, so here we have Razor pages. So this looks a little bit like HTML, doesn't it? Oh, I don't know if you guys realize this. Check this out. It gave us URLs to this application running right now in Docker. So it's running in memory. Now, I don't have this one named. Editor rules are pre-configured instruction files. How to read and update tasks? Really? Okay. So we have .cursor, .windsor. So these are code editors like VS Code. Okay. Supported editors. Okay. Well, I use them. Without rules, AI editors don't know. Oh, well, that's actually a good, a good thing to have in there then. This stuff, all this AI technology does change fast, and not so fast that you can't implement it, but like tomorrow, just with my chosen tools like Claude Code, VS Code, and Taskmaster. Well, tomorrow there could be a tool that replaces both of them theoretically, but then like next week or a week and a half, the tools that I've been working with will come out with something that's comparable, if not better. So it's sort of good to find tools that work well and that you like, and just use those. because you got a lot of these big tech players that just constantly come out with new models and new tools and everything. So, good to know you have another Claude Code instance generating tasks. Okay, yeah. Once it's done, you can verify with that. Okay. Well, I want to revisit this thing because this looks pretty important. Now, my experience with Taskmaster, I just tell Claude Code, hey, use Taskmaster. It just does it, you know. What's nice about Taskmaster, Claude Code does have the ability to keep track of its tasks. In fact, if I go, well, let's add a new one. And nothing looks weird. Okay. CC and brings up my Claude Code. And there's another tool that I use, and it's pretty cool. Sometimes, every once in a while, Claude Code will let me down. And if I need something like something more serious with more manual intervention, I use these other tools. But Claude Code is pretty good. So I was going to, nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay. Wow, we already have SQL Server initialization scripts. Okay. So this is where someone like me should slow down, like not create so many of these, because I have a little bit of an issue with context switching. My context window isn't very big here. Editor rules are pre-configured. Taskmaster successfully. So it creates, so if you guys notice, if you go up here, there is a Taskmaster folder. And we have, you see that config JSON, state JSON. We have templates. We have tasks. So let's go take a look at the tasks. That's not that big. What else do we have going on here? There's docs, reports. Okay. But in the configure, oh. I'm going to pause this just in case there's any, I don't think there's any secrets in there, but